Listen, guy. The Talking League.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Talking League featuring JVW. Today we've got a full house of 4 people, starting with Indira Albuquerque, Claudi Raposo, Jared Buckle and myself, Shane Campbell. How are we doing all today, guys?
I'm doing fantastic.
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Once again, it's only Indira that ever asks how I am doing out of everyone. Jay, what's up?
All good, feeling good. Nice to be back, and I'm excited for today's show.
I'm sure you're excited because you're not being refed by Claudia today.
Very true. I'm still nervous though.
with a good reason. Just a small little interesting fun fact. Claudia used to ref us playing indoor at off-the-wall Powerball there in Boxburg. And it was one night, I'll never forget, it was a Monday night. Claudia was refing my game. There goes my knee with like maybe 1 minute left of the game. I dislocate my knee. Everyone's around me. Claudia's like, back off. Pops my knee back in place. And that was my first real introduction to Claudia. And since then, I've had a knee op. But
I didn't do no damage.
Yeah, it wasn't
Just
because
put
of
that
her.
in there.
It wasn't because of her. It was reoccurring knee pops. But yeah, otherwise, that's how I know Claudia. Jay, you've also been refed a couple of times.
Yes, I'm nervous because Claudia, we had a team that didn't really get along with Claudia at the beginning. And a lot of our guys used to get on her nerves, and she gave out a couple of red cards, which was very well due to her. I think I was the only one on our team that's never been sent off by Claudia.
I still can't believe it.
I know.
True fact.
And I remember there was one stage where I got so frustrated the game didn't even carry on. I sat against the wall and just watched everything happen. And we used to go and tell the guys to calm down. But yet, out of all the respect to you, I don't know how she was there week in, week out. And it's like, I swear you asked for those games sometimes because when just after like a really heated week, she was back there. So
Because no one else wanted a refuge.
That says a lot. Of Clem and Ryan don't even want to ref us.
I won't mention the guys' names, but yeah, I don't play with them any longer. It was a little bit tight in tension, but I mean, everybody left on good places, and you became friends with a couple of the guys.
No,
afterwards
100%.
as well. Yeah.
What happens on the field stays on the field at the end of the day, so you can't hold grudges, especially as a ref. Because if you do, then your game gets defined according to your attitude
Thank
to the
goodness
players.
I'm not a ref then.
See?
Well said. So, Indira, you've played a bit with Claudia, is that right?
Yes.
And as a teammate, how is Claudia different to when you see her ref?
Be honest.
As a ref, I feel like she's less apologetic. I mean, you can't be apologetic as a ref. The decisions you make are final, no matter what people say. But I feel like as a teammate, she's like, I don't even know how to explain.
Like I apologize too
yeah,
much.
she apologizes a lot for things like
It
little
was because I was
mistakes or
getting old,
whatever.
Indira. I was tired.
But she's a ball of fun. She's always cracking jokes. I mean, there will be no training session without Claudia not saying something stupid or funny, you know.
Making the
But
atmosphere a little bit fun,
yeah.
guys.
But
Serious,
it's
but
two
fun.
different Claudias, pretty much, as a player and as a ref, two completely different people. But yeah, she's cool.
Thank you. Yes?
No, I was doing an answer question. Do you find that when you're playing games, that's when you learnt a lot of your reffing skills? And did you ever disagree with refs in terms of giving calls in your favour?
Oh, absolutely. Like, as a player, when I did play football, me and the refs never got along because I always thought they were wrong. The moment I decided to become a ref, to be honest, I became a ref because I needed a little bit of extra money at the time. Myself and Janine actually started reffing at the same time at Off the Wall, where you spoke about. Janine eventually was like, listen, this is not for me. Obviously, I was in a different space in my life. I was like, look, I'm making a little bit of extra money, so let me just try and pull it through. So I did. And funny enough, when I became a ref, I actually started having more respect, where I think my game changed, where instead of arguing always with the ref, I rather just understood that that's how the ref actually saw it. So to answer your question, my reffing, and I think when a lot of people ask me how I ref and stuff like that, is I'm a player. The only difference is I'm in charge of the game. So when I ref a game, I'm with you guys. I play the game with you. I'm interactive with you guys. Where I notice a lot of refs don't do, especially for the youngsters, they'll just blow and say, okay, it's this way. Where with me, maybe it's the player side of me or the coaching side of me. I like to explain to the player why I've ref, especially when I can see they both are like, but what did I do wrong?
Correct, yeah.
I like to tell the player, listen, you can't come into a tackle this way, showing your studs or dropping your shoulder or whatever the situation or the scenario in that moment in time might be. I like to take a few seconds of the moment and say, and then afterwards you'll see how their tackling is different, how they understand now that this ref's not obviously going to allow me to go into dirty tackles or certain things like that. So being a player for many years of my life, 29 years,
Sure.
giving my age away,
Yeah,
right?
next birthday.
And 10 years of reffing, I think what I've never lost is the fact that I'm a player. So I think that's what defines me of being maybe a good ref, is the fact that I'm always interactive, as I always consider myself as a player. The only difference is that I'm in charge.
Wow, that's cool. And you say 29 years of playing football.
Yeah.
I want to speak about your career with JVW. How long did you play with JVW?
Ooh, how long? I started in 2012. I started in 2014. Then I did my knee. She nearly cried because she thought it was a gunshot the first time my knee went.
Wow.
So I tore my ACL, my second one. So I was out of football for a little while. So I think in total I played for JVW maybe about 4 to 5 years, but not not obviously
consecutive and all
yeah,
of that,
exactly. So I mean I had a knee op. I came back from that. I'd done both my knees. Never had a knee problem in my life, but I guess that's also my first knee. You know, it's also from the ref's decision as well. Like I mean, the girl came in very late, and she didn't even get anything. So I think also that kind of has guided me to become a better ref in the sense of not hurting players or not being in charge of players on the field while getting unnecessary injuries. You know, most of the players that are on my field, besides you obviously, I've never had injuries, like serious injuries and stuff like
I'm
that.
the special one.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I never thought I'd enjoy reffing, but I actually really do, to be honest.
Jeez. It's so nice to hear from a ref's point of view though as well, because often we give refs
very
hassles.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest gripes have been, like, especially with Easterns, and this is not a dig at Easterns, Jared can back me up on this. Every time we've had a ref, my only question to them after the game is, you never explained your decisions.
Yeah.
And I know it's not in part of their structure to explain the decisions, but I do believe you can control a game better, that when you call a foul and if you can see there's a disagreement, immediately explain what you saw. Whether we agree with you or not, we're going to move on. That's always been my thing.
You know, the thing is, I think, and you know, like also being at Off the Wall, I've had the privilege of reffing with Brian. For me, he's been a very big mentor. If I've ever had like a not sure of an understanding of maybe why I called it or I should have called it, I've always sat down with him, maybe 10 minutes, explain the scenario to him, and he's always guided me. He says, at the end of the day, you've got to ref the way you see it. Certain little things he told me, like never have the whistle in your mouth because your eyes react, so automatically your mouth will blow.
Wow.
Instead of certain little things like that. Like he helped me understand becoming a better ref, and I guess like the ref that everybody says that I'm a good ref at. I must be honest, he's the one that has actually been honest and guided me to being the ref that I have become. Certain things like keeping the whistle in your mouth, little things like, in your hand instead of your mouth, because I was a player, he said to me, it gives you a chance to understand maybe there could be a possibility of an advantage.
Correct, yeah.
Or something that could make a defining moment in the game. Instead of just being so quick, you saw the offense, don't be so quick to blow it. See how the scenario plays out. So little things like that, we would always sit down after the game, and I wanted to better myself because, funny enough, the moment I stepped behind the whistle, I actually quite enjoyed it.
Wow.
To be honest, I never thought I did because me and refs never got along. I always thought the same way as you, like, this ref. You know what I mean? It was like that. I mean, even playing with Indira and like playing at indoor, we had a good team as well. And Indira had a younger team that also now we all play in JVW together. I mean, that was always a heated game because it was like the grannies playing against the youngsters. It's honest, to be honest. It was like that. So it was a very good game. I mean, in all aspects of it. But the refs that we had would never respect us as footballers. So if for instance, I by accident kick Indira gets upset because she never gets the foul, but no one explains certain things to us. So we, as players, would always have respect for one another. So if I did kick her, I'd be like, sorry, but I didn't mean to kick you.
Move on.
But where the ref had no control of the game, because I think at the end of the day, a lot of male refs don't have, and I'm generalizing now, don't have a lot of respect for women footballers.
Yeah,
Where with me, regardless if you're a male or a female, we all footballers once we step on that field. So I'm going to ref the exact same standard, regardless if you kick. And a lot of girls don't understand that. Like now I get like where Brian says, Claude, the way you explain the game to a lot of players, most of the times, like sometimes you'll tell me like when we used to ref at indoor and I could see the game getting very heated and stuff like that, I'd call both teams into the middle. I've even done that in an outdoor game. I think I've done it at a JVW final where it was a rival game, and I could just see this game. The coaches were not helping, the supporters were not helping. I called everybody into the middle. I don't think that's ever happened in an outdoor game.
No, not in your.
Maybe indoor-wise, yes, it's different because it's a smaller field, but I called everybody in to the middle. I said to them, listen, I understand, whatever it could be, but we're all 22 players on this field. What I blow is what I blow. Supporters might be calling you whatever they call, ignore them. And they are young girls. So to have that kind of guidance as well as a ref, I really do enjoy it. I mean, I think even Indira was like, why did you call him into the middle? I was like, could you not see how uncontrolled the game started becoming? Because people started getting dirty and stuff like that. Called them into the middle, told them what I needed to tell them. After that, there was one of the best games I've ever refed. Well, outdoor was with girls, considering it being girls.
So like setting a reset button, if that makes sense.
Almost.
It just brings everybody down to the same page and gives a little bit of a break, I think, for everybody to think about what's actually really going on.
Yeah.
And I gained a lot of respect for you when you did that to us, because that was like a very intense game where most refs would have stopped the game, because I remember that game was particularly nasty.
Yeah.
But then it leads to another question, like how do you handle the pressure in those kind of situations where everybody's looking at you in those kind of games? Like let's say if it's a very high pressure game and now one side's maybe doing this or doing that, how do you find yourself centering your emotions as well? Because I'm sure a lot of things get thrown at you and sometimes those things can be not the most comfortable. Yes.
No, 100%. Look, you know, over the years, in the beginning, I'll be honest, I'm not ashamed of it. I've never been a person to hide anything. I used to cry in the beginning. Very intimidating, because your final decision can make the difference of winning a game and losing a game. So in the beginning stages, I was very nervous. I was very scared. I used to get very intimidated by a lot of males, females, coaches, everything. And once again, Brian came to me and he was like, you know what, Claude, when you walk on that field, you've got to put your emotions aside. At the end of the day, your say is your say. If you feel you were right, you were right. So also with the situation of like when you bring like your game, like you were explaining, those kind of situations, you've also got to like give yourself a moment to think of what you're actually going to say to these players. So what helps as well is when the players are like, they'll shrug to be like, ref, now we have to go to the middle kind of situation. You're kind of able to recenter yourself and be like, okay, listen, we're all here to enjoy the game. We're all here for the purpose of actually enjoying the game, instead of just kicking each other endlessly. That's not how you guys play football. That's, I mean, at the end of the day, and one of the things I used to always say to a lot of people, none of us are winning R1 million here. If we were, God, I wouldn't be reffing. You know what I mean? Like I used to say that to them. It kind of, because the atmosphere is so like thick. I used to, like Indira said before, I'm always a joker. Yeah. So I used to be able to use that to my strength, where I kind of like brought everybody down to, okay, you're actually right. We're here to enjoy ourselves. Yes, some people take it, some people don't take it. But at the end of the day, you've got to learn to recenter yourself as a ref and actually forget about everybody else. And be like, this is my purpose of the game, is to actually make sure that no one gets injured on my field. And the purpose of my reffing is, whether it's defining you guys winning or losing or drawing the game, I have to walk off that field and be like, you know what, I did my job.
Well, you also touched very briefly on girls.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak about the JVW Schools League, which is a program, a high school league that we run in Gauteng. And obviously with the games and all, refs are needed to officiate the games. And it was a good thing to bring you into it, because they're all male referees. And with the program that we are running, it's important that we try and show to the young girls that, you know, there's not only playing that is available. You can be different things. You can be administrators, you can be managers, all that stuff. And referees is one of the most also important parts of the game. And we don't see a lot of female referees, especially in the schools league. I'll say, okay, so let's say in the Sasso League, you've played in the Sasso League, there are female referees, but, you know, there's no, how can I say, like, formidable referees that you can think of and be like, yes, that referee. Obviously, let's not forget Akona. I'm not going to speak because she's obviously the only female referee in the PSL.
Fantastic.
Shout out.
But yeah, shout out to her.
That's fantastic.
But for you, Claudia, coming into the girls' game,
Yes.
specifically, we know that, you know, male football and female football,
Very different.
very different games. And now high school league is also very different because the development of girls in football at that stage isn't as prominent as in the males. How has that transition been for you? Because you said you've reffed, obviously, you guys, going then to female schools league. How has that been to you? And do you feel like it is important for a female referee to be officiating games like that?
Oh, absolutely. Like you said before, like you touched on it in the beginning, was the fact that like it's nice to show girls that they don't just have to be soccer players. There could be other opportunities or different avenues and stuff like that. So when I do go and ref the high school JVW league, I quite enjoy it. It's nice to see the girls developing, because I also came from an era where there was no such things. I had to play with boys. So it's nice to see that there's now full teams of girls. And all girls want to play football and want to try and advance and stuff like that. But the transition of doing it's a little bit slower because boys are much quicker. So your mindset has to be sharper. With the girls' league, from where it very started to what I've been reffing now, has improved 100%. I actually do get tired on a game of reffing a girls' game, where before I had to kind of make myself run to try and keep the concentration up, because you can lack your concentration, if that makes sense, because obviously it's a lot of just kick the ball out, just do that, whatever the case is, because you're getting a lot of instructions from the coaches from outside. Now I see a lot of the coaches are trusting their girl soccer players, in the sense of don't just kick the ball out, try and keep the ball, try and motion the ball. So I find myself where the game is also being improved, which is nice, because as a ref, you also want to see that girls are also improving. So the nice thing as well, where the difference between the coaching, sorry, apologize about that, reffing the girls and reffing boys is the younger girls can accept the fact that they've made a mistake, but they just want to know why. Where males don't want to know. They just like, whatever, and they'll move on. And that's why you've got to kind of bring them back into the sense and say, listen, this is the reason I blew you up, or whatever the case is. Where with females, certain, not all of them, but in general, a lot of females would like kind of look at you and you can see that they're kind of lost in why they've been blown up. So you've got to kind of like bring them in, and you make yourself loud enough so that everybody else also around them can understand that you're not going to accept a tackle like that. So it kind of like, it's reffing in the females league, in the JVW league, is really nice, because I think in a way I could help them also understand how to understand a game situation, the pressure of a game, the give and take of a game, understanding how to respect a ref, where before I never used to. When I was younger as well, I always thought the refs were wrong. I think also because back then the refs also didn't really respect female players. Now there's a very big difference. It's nice to go to tournaments and see like full fields of girls playing, and where before there was never. You know, so it in that sense it's improving slowly. Where before, like I said, it would be a bit slower, but now it's like it's upped up its game. So it's nicer. It's a nicer game to ref, to be honest. It's not as like challenging.
And then also like in the playoffs, because we always have you in the playoffs there. She refs the finals. We make sure that she is the main referee to ref the finals. Do you ever feel that you get some sort of like intimidation from the male referees? Like being a female, obviously, you know, there's do you ever butt heads or no? To be honest, with the refs that I've refed with, they've always come to me and be like, why are you not reffing higher? Like I've always had Dwayne, Tabu, they always come to me and they'll be like, Claudia, you need to come with us. Like you need to be with us. And like to have that respect from
your fellow referees, even though they're males, it really kind of boosts you up.
Yeah.
And then you feel good for that day. Then you're like, yes, I can do this. And then you're like, oh no, I can't do this. You know, so it's my own personal choice at the moment. I don't know if I want to be a professional ref, but I would like to be. But like reffing the final, I think it's such an honor. And the fact that Dwayne and Tabu also respect the fact, and they always tell me also after the game, they're like, Claude, you're fantastic. Just try to remember that you've also got linesmen now. So it was just an adjustment. And it's really nice that they can respect me as a ref, their fellow ref.
Yeah.
And they're not like, oh, you're just a girl. You know, they
Yeah.
respect me as a ref as well. And to ref the finals, it's such a nice honor to know. And then like also once you're done reffing, to get an applause from everybody.
Yeah.
And it's not just for the players, it's actually, I mean, before I even give back to Indira to give her the final piece of paper, I've probably shaked about 1 million people's hands and be like, and that's very rare for a ref, I feel. Like, and also being around the football scene for many years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very rare thing that you'll see supporters. I mean, a dad will come up to me and be like, wow, I've never seen my daughter play such good football under your guidance. And I'm like, wow, okay, who's your daughter? You know, like, I mean, to me, it's just white against blue or whatever. I don't know. I don't care who you are. I'm there to do a job at the
Yeah.
end of the day. So,
And I can vouch for that because even at the schools league, there have been times where players will actually come and ask for a picture
yeah.
for a referee.
Like,
You
it
don't
blows
see
my mind.
that. So
Yeah.
That's
it
incredible.
just shows that you are inspiring a generation to think out of just being players. So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Good on you.
Thanks, pal.
I think maybe, Claudia, you should actually do like a workshop for girls, young girls that want to become referees, or don't even want to become referees. Just put them in a refereeing workshop
Yeah.
and just tell them all about
That's a
it,
good
because
idea.
by the sounds of it, you're doing a really fantastic job. You do enjoy it, and a lot of girls don't know about these opportunities.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe expose them to it. I don't know. JVW could look at something.
Yeah.
I was just also thinking now, you're not only a ref, but you've also coached the youngsters, and
Yes.
you're in a school for a very long time.
Yes.
How would you motivate young girls that want to become soccer players? Because at that age, girls are being pushed to go and do like the girly sports, like the netball and the ballet
Hockey.
and the and the hockey, and the guys are going for the soccer and that kind of thing. How would you spot that? Because I know you get these girls that really are interested in soccer, but then they're kind of led by their friends and that. How would you go about identifying someone that really wants to play soccer, and how would you motivate them to play soccer, especially for the young girls out there?
Yeah, well, for me, to be honest, when I was in the school and stuff like that, it was my passion. I'm a very passionate coach. I'm a very passionate person, as Indira said before. And I just am a passionate, maybe it's also being Portuguese, I don't know. Maybe it has a bit of a Latino spice in there somewhere.
It's the sound coming out in you.
But it's just my passion towards it. So whether I'm coaching a girl or a boy, whether it's hockey, netball, soccer, I have a passion towards sports. I did sports. I coached. I myself did 11 different sports when I was in my good years back in the day. But to just motivate girls at school, I mean, I started off a league in Boksburg. I started a girls' league because I started having a lot of girls in my soccer boys team. And I approached my principal. I was like, look, you know, I've got another school, St. Francis, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
I went to myself in St. Francis. We started a league together, and now it's grown. You know, I had to fill 2 teams, and I had 46 girls. How do you fill 2 teams with 46 girls? So, I mean, it's also it depends on your coaching. You know, it depends on who you are as a person and how you respond to people. You know, so I mean, I was also involved with JVW's youngest team, like the under 13, 14 team. I mean, they never, you could see they had never kicked a ball, but most of them played with boys. Yes, you had some girls that could play, and then some girls, God, they didn't even know what laces were called, you know what I mean? So, and now seeing them play, I mean, most of them are developing, and they're fantastic. I think it's all depending on the person, to be honest, and the way you look at it. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be one of those kids that could go run around and kick a ball. I mean, I had only boy cousins, so obviously I was only going to play soccer. So, I mean, I was fortunate enough for that. But I think it's just according to your passion and how you see it at the end.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think that's how it comes across. Either you're going to be good as a coach or you're not going to be good as a coach. It all depends. Because nowadays, these kids only want to play on laptops and stuff like that. So it's also a big definition of what we used to know and how to develop the new kid. Because the new kid knows how to kick a ball on a PC and stuff like that. But to do it physically is a very different story. Yeah. So I think it's also your patience with them to understand that not every kid develops at the exact same time. So I think it's just your passion at the end of the day, and I emphasize on that because I think it's how you approach the situation. Yeah. If you're positive about the situation, and it's okay to tell them, listen, it's okay. Today you might have not been able to kick a ball, but tomorrow go home, practice against the wall. You know, never be scared to give them advice. And I think with my coaching as well, I've realized over the years as well is never be scared of your person that you're coaching that might become greater than you. I think that as a coach, you've got to realize as well that you can't be intimidated by the possibilities of that player being better than whatever you could have been. I think it's a privilege to be able to give them one day. And I've always said, one day, if someone could ever say, you know what, Coach Claudia or Claudia was a part of me being whatever, I think I've done my job.
Yeah. And just to add on what you were saying is, you know, at the end of the day, you can never force girls to want to 100%. Play soccer or anything, and it purely also comes to what they see, what they're exposed to, and exactly what you're saying, the type of person you are, the type of coach you are, the type of influence you show that you are to the girls. I mean, you can't expect your girls to want to play in a higher league or overseas if, you know, Monday and Thursday or Tuesday and Thursday are your training days, and you're literally there at the times that you're supposed to be there, and then you leave afterwards. There's no interaction, there's no extra, you know, there's no extra influence, if that makes sense. For you to be a great player, for you to be a great coach, you need to put in the extra times or more hours into what you are given to do a certain job, you know.
Or a certain task.
Yeah. So it's just a whole lot of things to get a girl to want to, you know, be a great player.
I think it's also like letting them know that they can. It's possible. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of times, like in the past, it's all been brought back. Like, this is where you can go, and that's
as far as you can go.
Yeah, and I think that's where things are changing now. Like, I am seeing it, and your team and everybody around you guys are doing incredible work.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it a lot more.
Yeah.
So I do have a little girl that one of the guys that I work with, his daughter's just started playing soccer now, and she's playing in an all-boys team. There's no other girls that are playing, and I think it's absolutely incredible. And he's pushing it. He's like, this is what you want to do, this is what you do. And she's also got sisters, and they all play other sports. And she's the youngest, but she's come up with that on her own. And the fact that she knows that she can do it, and this is perfect for her, I think it's the best thing. Whereas before, it would have been like, sorry, but like...
You can't. You know, to be honest, like myself and Janine come from an era where there was no such things as girls' football. Like girls playing soccer, what? Like nobody knew of it. I'm a little bit older than Janine, but I had the privilege of playing, you know, in the South and stuff like that with boys. And then I got told at the age of 17 that I wasn't allowed to play with boys anymore. But I had played from the age of 5 with them. I mean, that was a shocker for me. And I was like, well, where am I meant to go, you know? Because all my life I've played with these boys, you know. And I mean, I became stronger and stuff like that. Girls eventually, and I've always said this to Indira, and I've said this to Janine and Lauren and a few other people that are involved with JVW behind the thing. I was like, you know, and I've said it to my girls that I coach and stuff. I said, I wish I had the opportunity that you guys have now with JVW, whether it's in the schools league, whether it's as a club, because at the end of the day, you're getting trained. Not just because you're a girl, but you're getting trained out of respect at the fact that you are a footballer.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, girls that went to go play with boys just got shoved in there for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, if you're lucky. Yeah. You know, and then you would just sit on the bench pulling out splinters most of the time. Where now, you have the privilege, and I've said that at most of the tournaments that I go to, I'm like, I wish I had this. To go on a Saturday morning and you see hundreds of girls with their coaches, and I get like goozies. Yeah. I'm like, wow. And that's maybe why I also ref so good. Is because of that, wow. Yeah. It's like, this is actually happening. you know. So for JVW to be able to create such a thing, it's amazing, and I'm very proud and glad that I'm a part of it, you know. I mean, to go on a tournament and you see hundreds of people on the fields, coaches practicing like proper warm-ups, and it's not just okay, kick a ball and warm up. It's proper warm-ups that you are seeing now, and the male coaches are actually respecting female football.
Yeah.
They're respecting their female footballers, that once they step on that field, they're footballers. They don't care what they are, whether you're cramping, whether you're doing whatever you're doing. I mean, where back in the day, if you were lucky to play 10 minutes, you were lucky to play 10 minutes with a boys team.
Yeah.
You know, because boys do develop quicker than girls. And it's nice to be a part of JVW in the sense of the fact that we can train you. Whether you develop quicker, slower, whatever, we respect you as a footballer. Because once you come down, that is what we see. We don't care,
Yeah.
to be
And
honest.
just going back to your friend's daughter, I think it's representation is so important, and people don't understand how important it is, because for a little girl like that to have an idea, she probably has seen either a video or a picture of a footballer that she can identify herself with and see that if I do this, that is a possibility. I can get there. And for people like Claudia and Janine and them, I know it was hard because they didn't have representation.
Yeah.
They didn't have the girls to look up to, and especially in this country. I mean, women's football has developed. It is developing, and it still has a lot to go. But with most of I mean, if you have to go to the girls at the schools league tournament and ask them about women footballers, they will say the likes of like the Janines and the Amandas and the Mpumis and Refiwe Jane. That those players now are able to play overseas clubs. There is representation. That is what I can look forward to and what I can work towards. So, yeah, for
I
that
agree
little girl,
100%.
I really do hope that she does what she needs to do to get to where she needs to be.
Maybe one day
I'm
we'll
gonna
coach
ask-
her.
I'm gonna ask you guys if you would just put a little motivational video later on, just so she can know that there is somewhere to go.
problem.
So
Oh, no,
I really
fantastic.
appreciate that, and I know she'll be over the moon.
Oh,
Definitely.
definitely.
Yeah.
That'll be a nice touch, eh?
Yeah.
Really
We even
Christmas
get
presents.
Janine involved to get.
Yeah, we
to-
can even give Janine. Not a problem. You know, it's nice to see, I mean, most of the times, like also with my reffing and stuff, to see these youngsters, and you always see a little girl in a boys' team. I mean, like when I was when I was coaching my under-14 team, we had a little girl that was playing in Benoni Northerns, a blonde girl. I went up to her afterwards, I was like, you need to come play for my team. I was already coaching. You know what I mean? And it's so nice to be involved in the fact that because myself and Janine have been friends for years, myself and Lauren have been friends for years, myself and Nadira also, I mean, we have a mutual understanding of what we want our JVW team or idea wanted to
Yeah.
be, you know. And I mean, I've played with Kira as well many years ago. I mean, being coached by her, fantastic. Her understanding of the game is beyond her years.
Really is.
Her approach to players is fantastic. So me also being a coach, I understand what the head coach wants. So when I coach the little ones, I kind of mold them in the sense of trying to say, well, when they get to that first team, because ideally that's where you want to be, you've got to have an understanding of what is expected of you when you
Yeah.
are wearing the JVW badge.
Yeah.
You know? So when we go to these tournaments and I used to play, you know, go in the clubs, I used to always phone Lauren and Julie and be like, listen, I just found this girl from Springs, but I know she's so far, but she's so good. And then I would give the number, and it's, you know, it's a bit of scouting as well. You know, there's talent out there. And when I see girls playing with the boys, it's kind of like, yeah, don't give up, you know what I mean? Because once you reach a certain age, where do you go? Like I was in that situation. Where do I go?
Yeah.
Where now with the whole JVW kind of football club,
You've got-
you've got a big platform, and it's places where you can grow. It's not just for today.
Yeah.
It's for today, for tomorrow.
It's an established.
Exactly, you know, and it's really nice. And I'm very honored to be a part of it, to be honest.
It's so awesome, and I mean, we could probably sit here all day and just hash this out, but obviously our timing is a bit limited. So we're gonna go around the room and say one more thing each. I'm gonna just start it off because this thing's been bugging me for days now.
Okay.
I need to ask you, Claudia,
Yes.
as a ref,
Yes.
what is your take on VAR?
Okay, my honest
Here we go.
opinion. I think it's a good thing, in a way, but I also think it's a bad thing. Because bad thing was, I think it takes that whole FIFA saying, play fair, fair play.
Yeah.
You know, like, as a ref, the game is so fast and the game is developing so quickly. The skill is developing so quickly. So the refs are also trying to keep up with the game. I just feel that, like the handballing thing. I mean, I was a defender most of my life.
Yep.
The handballing situation. I feel it's very unfair. I feel that on the day, depending on who is the VAR refs, will depend on who it is.
Correct.
Where certain refs, you can have the same tackle today, tomorrow, and one will be given a penalty, one won't be given a penalty. So there has to be consistency on that situation, especially with the handballing. I mean, with us as defenders, we've always been taught to keep our hands closer to our bodies.
Correct, yeah.
Now, where do you put your hands? Do I protect my face? Do I not protect my face? Do I try and make myself, because as defenders, we've always been taught to protect our goals and make our body as big as possible.
Correct.
I mean, especially if you as close as I am and you blast that ball at me and I don't even have a time to react, it hits my hand. I mean, surely it shouldn't be a penalty. I mean, there's no time reaction. But if I'm further away, yes, 100% I agree with the VAR.
Yeah.
With the VAR on a good thing, I think like a point for me was like when it was the World Cup and Lampard scored that goal. If there was a VAR, England would have probably landed up in the final
the
because they had
hit
the crossbar and went in. For me, VAR should be limited to that, whether it's a goal or not. To this whole, because most of these strikers now are going to dive, and it irritates me because now as a defender, especially because the pressure of being in your box, I mean, I played with Indira and Gabby, very skillful, very fast.
But do I dive?
No. Not yet. Not all of the time.
Okay, I'm just
not all the time, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying when we get into the penalty box or the big box, as defenders, it's crunch time. It's I either need to make this tackle, or I need to intercept it, or I need to make sure that she understands that she's not going to have a shot at my goals. That is how I've always been taught. You know what I mean? Now, with this whole VAR, and you can see it in the Premiership, like, these defenders are like, should I, shouldn't I? And it puts a lot of pressure on them. So this VAR, I guess it is a good thing, because obviously everything is now becoming technology and whatever the case is. But for me, I think it just kills the game.
Okay.
It's my honest opinion.
Cool. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Jay?
What, VAR?
No,
Ask
in
a
closing.
I also just wanted to say, like, thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh, pleasure for having me.
I'm glad that you're continuing with the reffing, and
Thank
that
you.
all those bad experiences have led you to the person that you
All
are
the
now.
bad experiences.
I wasn't part. Well, I was there, but it wasn't me.
No,
You
it
know,
wasn't
by
me.
association.
By
is a big day.
association, yeah.
But I just hope that it continues to grow from here, and that you go leaps and bounds. And congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. You know, to be honest, reffing boys really made me become a better ref, because the game is so much faster than girls refs. So, I mean, girls games, girls games, you know. So it helps me. So when I do ref at a higher level, like for instance, if the JVW first team is playing, like Janine and Lauren will always ask me to come and ref. Even though they're playing against boys, it's a faster game, but I can still keep up with the game, you know, and I enjoy those kind of games. I mean, I could see myself probably reffing in Sassel League and that. It's just time and place for everything.
Yeah.
So I need to just make sure that I'm okay before, and if I do, and I'm this kind of person that if I've set my mind in something, I do it full-heartedly.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, I enjoy it, but I don't know just yet.
Okay.
That's my honest opinion.
Or whatever does happen, I wish you all the best.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, I have two things, but you've kind of half answered it.
Okay, tell me the two things.
The one was, if you had the opportunity to go and ref in the PSL, would you? Or like,
yes.
further your
Ref the middle, not the fourth official. I'm not going to a Soweto derby just to be the fourth official.
Yeah.
I would like to be the person in the middle controlling the game.
And then the second thing is, what would you say to aspiring female referees? Because I personally know of one who's come from the schools league, who's aspiring to be a referee. And what do you have to say to someone like her who wants to be a referee?
It's not easy. It's
It's really not that easy.
you really need a thick skin, to be honest. If she's chosen to do this, well, bigs up to her. You just gotta, if you're gonna do this, you've got to realize you're gonna have your good days and your bad days. What I used to do as a ref, I used to go home and write down certain things that I used to do, and then try correct them in my next game. So I think you just got to be your own, how can I say, your own person in that sense that if you do want to pursue being a ref, just remember that you're going to have hard days and good days. And those good days, you should try and inspire to have more good days than bad days. And if you do have those bad days, how do you better yourself? Or how do you get up in the morning and be like, okay, I'm going to put this ref uniform on. Let's do this. You know, for me as a ref to personally, and seeing someone else being inspired, especially coming from a youngster, you're going to have your coaches shouting at you. You're going to have supporters not liking. The ref, at the end of the day, my sweetheart, the ref is always wrong. That's one thing you've got to realize. Players will always say the ref was wrong. You've got to be comfortable enough to walk off that field and be like, you know what, I did my job. Whether you like it or not, this is my decision. I've done what I've done. You've got to be okay with the decisions you blow. So it's not an easy job. I'm not going to lie to anyone and say, look, you know, sign up. It is it's a very difficult job. It's a very difficult job, but it's very rewarding in the sense of if you are passionate enough for it, your game will just become an easy game.
Brilliant. Well,
And
Claudia,
go for it.
thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Always a pleasure. Indira, rock and roll. Thank you, ma'am, for
It's only a
joining us.
pleasure.
Mr. Buckle, thank you for coming out of Benoni.
Yeah.
Straight out of Benoni.
And to me, also out of Benoni.
I'm all
Anyways,
the way
guys.
from the south.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to wrap up today. Thank you very much. We hope you're keeping well. And if you want to aspire to be a referee, Claudia is the person to speak to. Cheers. Goodbye.
Bye.
And